Hey everybody. Excuse me, let me know if you can hear me okay. Oh, I did that thing where I haven't spoken in like hours, so my voice is all raspy. I'm going to pull up the chat here, and then we're going to get started. How's everybody doing today? Oh, I can't, I don't know if you replied. I don't know if anyone's here, because I have not pulled up the chat. Oh, you guys can see it. Oh god, it's recursive. That's something I'll have to remember to do. I'm going to close some of these other programs. I feel like I'm always really sloppy right at the beginning of, there we go. Okay. That's better. How is everybody doing? Well, we are here once again to design some more spooky monsters. I'm going to get some of my water, which is across the room over here. There's no lurid graffiti on the wall behind me, which I think is a universal positive, or negative, depending on your outlook. But last week, somebody had written a bad word on the board, and I was amused by it, so I tried to frame it properly. That way you could all appreciate the bad word as well. Let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. It looks like it's working fine, but I just wanted to check. I'm going to grab my water, and then we're going to get started. I did that thing again where I put my headphones on and then realized I don't need any headphones. I'm not listening to anything. So I'm just going to leave them off and talk to everybody here in the chat. All right. So I was just, before this, working on Alizabeth's stats. So if you don't remember, we're working on Dr. Hughbert and Alizabeth, Dr. Hughbert Hilkington, who is a spooky, nasty artificer from, excuse me, from All Hell Yog, which you should go listen to if you have not. I'm going to assume that if you're wandering into this stream, you probably know who I am and what I'm working on. But if not, you should check out our podcast, All Hell Yog. So at the moment, we are working on the CR10 version of Dr. Hughbert and Alizabeth. It's got that funny thing where Dr. Hughbert and Alizabeth would always be packaged together, so they by necessity can't each be CR10. They have to equal a CR10 challenge. So that means that our CR10 threat is, our encounter is Dr. Hughbert at CR5 and then Alizabeth at CR6. Great. So I'm just going to keep punching in some of these golem abilities, although I think that might be all of them. Do we have codependence? Oh, lightning absorption. That was the other one I was still working on. So let me get that going. Golem 5e. So we'll see if anybody shows up today. No big deal if not. I've been pretty good so far, but as of now, I think I am alone in the chat. If you're in the chat, holla at me. Otherwise, I'm just going to start typing some stuff. Okay. Whenever Alizabeth is subjected to lightning damage. I don't like that phrasing, is subjected to. I'm sure there's some Crawfordian reasoning behind it, but it just feels very, why can't you say whenever the golem takes lightning damage? Why is subjected to? I'm just going to put takes rather than is subjected to. I don't understand. I know that like there's very technical writing that happens inside of Wizards, but I don't really, and I get the reason for most of it, like in theory, but there's a lot of corner cases like that where I would actually be curious to hear like what the thinking was behind it. Lightning damage dealt. So I've been watching Roll20's Dungeon of the Mad Mage. This is a spoiler for anybody who is planning on reading Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I apologize. There is a room in the dungeon that features a flesh golem, and there's a cool mechanic where the flesh golem is standing on like a copper floor, and every round the floor gets re-electrified and the golem regains hit points, which I thought was really cool. It might be something similar like that we could try to incorporate into Dr. Hughbert, because one of the things I wanted to do was definitely include layers and layer actions when the two of them are together. And that's something we can talk about, I think, before we finish this version of them. I wanted to play with the idea that on their own, they wouldn't necessarily get legendary actions, but if they're together, then they have a suite of legendary actions they can use, similar to with layer actions. Because I feel like his laboratory would be pretty goddamn cool in terms of layer actions, right? So, okay, the Golem, Alizabeth makes 2 slam attacks. Makes 2 slam attacks. Let me make sure that it is working, because now I am a little worried that the link is broken or chat's not working or something like that. So let me just double check. Tweet went out. Uh-oh. I see what happened. I used the wrong link. Copy that and delete that tweet. See? I knew something was up. Oh, here's somebody. What's up, Alan? Yeah, I had a problem with my tweet, so I'm going to redo it. Okay. I feel bad to the person who retweeted it, but I used the wrong link. What a goof. What a goof on my part. There we go. Yeah, I got it now. Everything's fixed. Hopefully we get some weirds and yuckos in here. We got one. Hey-oh, Alan. That's a dig at you. Okay, here we go. All right. So Alizabeth makes 2 slam attacks. Let's get working here. Slam is a melee weapon attack. Can you see it okay? Did I move it too much? I moved it too much. I done goofed. There we go. I like to point out that that's almost like the comically Russian spelling of the word attack. Attack. It's attack. Should be melee weapon attack. And let's see. So this has +7 to hit. I want to look up the appropriate level of monster because she's only a CR 6, and I think that the flesh golem that I'm looking at is a CR 5. So it should be slightly higher bonus to attack, but that's fine. Okay, CR 6 monsters. What's going on, Alan? How you doing, man? Oh, hey, Brooke, what up? You got that flex? Yeah, that's appropriate for Alizabeth. She's pretty swole, as you would describe her, Brooke. CR6 monsters. What do you get to add to your attack bonus? We're going to use the mammoth. That seems appropriate to me. +10 to hit. Whoo! Pretty chunky. What about the Chimera? Chimera says +7 to hit. That's probably closer. Why does the mammoth have such a high attack bonus? That's weird. The wyvern? I'm looking at CR6 monsters, yeah. +7. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to go with +7. I think that's what the flesh golem has anyway. Yeah, +7 to hit. So I'll punch these in, and then we're going to talk about the itinerary for today. 5 feet, 1 target, 2d8 +4 bludgeoning damage. So the thing with Alizabeth at this level, so Alan, you were here last time, but Brooke, as you remember, the way that Hughbert works currently, obviously in his 3 different iterations, is that he has sort of 2 sort of bifurcated abilities. He's got his gadgetry, where he has 3 different gadgets that at each level sort of improve. There are his gloves, his goggles, and his boots. So as you can see here under gadgetry, he's got magnetic gloves, he's got like infrared goggles, and he's got like electro boots that let him do crazy stuff. And then he has a number of syringes. So he can use these. Currently they're melee attacks at the lowest level at Apprentice Artificer. And he's got 3 different versions. I color-coded them, and I might put in a sidebar about the idea of letting the DM roll them randomly. But the way it currently stands, the DM chooses which serum they're supposed to use. I had liked the idea that he had used random serums, and there was a chance he could either like harm Alizabeth or heal an ally. But the way we were writing up the serums, it just didn't really make sense. There was such a high chance that he would end up like messing it up, and too many cool ideas that we ended up keeping it a little bit simpler. On the same token, there was a discussion at one point to have the serums have 2 different effects, that if they were used against Alizabeth, they would be positive. If they were used against an enemy, they'd be negative. But as I started to write that out, like the bloat was unbearable. The stat blocks became so huge. Hughbert is already a much larger stat block than most of the other villains so far, even like Agnemaw, and I'm worried that at his highest iteration, he'll just become ridiculous. But so we start with 4 different serums, And the conceit here with the serums is that they try to... Yes, he is an artificer, Brooke. But the conceit with the serums here is that they are not meant to just exactly replicate spells. They're meant to be similar to certain spells, but not be carbon copies. So the blue serum, which I have as the tranquilizer, is pretty similar to sleep with a few important distinctions. So you roll the 3d8. If the target has fewer hit points than the number rolled, it falls unconscious, and it remains unconscious for 1 hour or until it takes damage, which is slightly different than actual sleep, whereas sleep, you can spend an action to wake somebody up. I figured if they were in like a drug-induced coma, they would just be out. If they took damage, it would wake them up, but I think that's something we could even take away at a higher level, that it's just like, you're done, you're out. Maybe we'll keep it, I don't know. The one I like is the green serum. For 1 minute, the target regains hit points at the start of each of its turns. If it would gain hit points beyond its maximum, it instead gains temporary hit points. Any temporary hit points gained by this ability stack. So the notion is that it's just this, like, it's gaining more and more flesh. Especially, he would presumably only use it on Alizabeth or at this stage of the chassis. And they just get bigger and bigger. I liked the idea of stabbing it into the steel chassis, right, which is the... but it looks gross and it feels gross and it seems very unnatural. We have the carapace. They grow cartilaginous carapace. Blah, 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 blah. They get a +2 bonus to AC and gain X number of temporary hit points. When the temporary hit points gained from this ability are depleted, the target's AC returns to normal. I need to change the wording in here. Any temporary hit points gained by this ability and only this ability. That is how temporary hit points work. You have to sort of decide when you're getting two different sources of hit points. Oh, audio's gone. Whoa. It's back. Sounds okay? Let me know. Sorry, I did not see that, chat. Spooky. And I was just talking nonstop wall to wall during all of that. That sucks. I did move the camera around a little bit, but I don't think that should have affected the audio. Let me know if something's up. I'll try to keep a better eye on this on chat. I was just talking about the different serums. So the yellow serum grants you basically this, like, carapace, this armor. So it increases your AC and gets you a certain number of hit points. Once you chop through those hit points, the AC goes back down. It was really great. I think that's great. I think you should devise a series of signals. I should devise a series of signals. But even if you did do signals, I wasn't necessarily reading it. And then lastly, we have the red serum, which is sort of a steroid. And for 10 minutes, the target has advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. They get a plus 10-foot bonus to their speed. Just to say plus 10 bonus to their speed. A climb speed equal to their new walk speed, and their jump distance is tripled. So it combines a couple different ideas. Again, we didn't want to just have him have spell casting. We wanted these serums to be unique, right? So at this level, CR2, this sort of CR5 encounter, he has 4. The construct chassis is pretty simple. It's got anti-magic susceptibility, kind of like an animated suit of armor or something. And again, this is just like a skeleton. This doesn't have any flesh on it. It doesn't have any personality. It's just a construct completely. It's incapacitated while in the aura of an anti-magic field. If targeted by Dispel Magic, the chassis must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, blah, 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 or fall unconscious. It has codependence. So the chassis is magically bound to Hughbert. As a bonus action, Hughbert can issue simple commands to the chassis, which it obeys until the task is complete. If Hughbert is killed or incapacitated, the chassis takes no action, not even to defend itself. In this state, all attacks against it have disadvantage. Oh, wait. All attacks against it have advantage, not disadvantage. So you can just wail on it. It just deactivates, right? Like a droid, just powers down. And then it does have magic resistance, which is something it will have into its golem state. Great, yeah. +6 to hit, 2 slam attacks, 2d8, +4 bludgeoning damage. So then, grown-up Dr. Hughbert for the CR5, or the CR10, but he's CR5, confusing, I His magnet gloves, his infrared goggles, and his lecture boots all will improve. He can use telekinesis instead of mage hand. He can see into and through solid matter to a range of 30 feet. Can't hear me again. Oh wait, can you hear me? I can't tell. Now, because I saw 2 monkeys. I do like you are a gorilla. That would be that would be a happy development for me. Let me know if you cannot hear me. But I think, yeah, monkeys. Okay, great. I just got terrified when I saw can't hear you. Electro boots let him double his speed and do spider climbs. He can cling to the walls. He has mounted combatant, which lets him ride on Elizabeth's back. And then he has 2 new syringes. We kind of beefed up these syringes to make them more powerful. And then he has 2 new ones. He has the orange serum, or an adhesive. For 1 minute, the target adheres to anything that touches it. A huge or smaller creature adhered to the creature is also grappled by it. Attempts to escape this grapple at disadvantage. So it seems negative, but actually what you do is you shoot it at Elizabeth, and then it makes her sticky. And so anyone who tries to attack her or like hits her with a weapon attack, the weapon sticks. Anything that touches them, right? The Mimic has the similar ability. And then the purple serum has a confusion-like effect. The target must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom saving throw or take one of the 4 following actions on its next turn, determined by the roll of a 1d4. So, or for the next minute, or for 1 minute, take one of the 4 following actions on each of its next turns. On each of its next turns, as determined by the roll of 1d4. So 1, drop prone and move half its speed in a random direction, so like start crawling on the ground. 2, take no action other than to compulsively chew their fingernails. 3, make a melee basic attack against itself. And 4, unable to speak at anything but cackling laughter. Or act normally, but is unable. At the end of its turn... Did I move it again? No, it's good. The target can repeat the saving throw to end the effect. So that was pretty long, but the conceit is that at a higher level we get, right, the more... I do like Semaphore, Alan. I think that's fine. To end the effect. Great. So now I'm just working on Elizabeth, the Flesh Golem. So this is the CR5 version, sorry, the CR10 version of Elizabeth. She has a bunch more golem-y like abilities. She's much less of a chassis and much more of a regular golem. She's got aversion to fire. She's got codependence. She's got lightning absorption, magic resistance, and relentless. So most of these are golem abilities that already exist. Codependence is basically just Berserk reflavored. But if Dr. Hughbert is killed or incapacitated, Elizabeth goes Berserk. On each of her turns while Berserk, Elizabeth attacks the nearest creature she can see. If no creature is near enough to move to an attack, Elizabeth attacks an object with preference towards one smaller than herself. Once she goes Berserk, Elizabeth continues to do so until she is destroyed or Dr. Hughbert spends a bonus action to calm her. So if he's incapacitated, he can come back and calm her, but if he's killed, then she just does it until she's destroyed. She has lightning absorption, she heals from lightning, she has magic resistance, which is true of regular golems, and she also has relentless, which is an ability that Cody chose. If she takes 10 damage or less, that would reduce her to 0 hit points. She's reduced to 1 hit point instead. And then she's got multi-attack. I should maybe up the damage here, because she was doing 2d8 already. Which I wonder if that's for a CR3. If that's too powerful. What kinds of damage are CR3s doing? CR monsters by CR. So one thing we need to think about today, I need to move on and we got to do the advanced version of Dr. Hughbert, but we also would love to do some lair actions and some legendary actions. So let's start brainstorming some ideas for legendary actions, because I think they're going to come coupled with this iteration, the second iteration of Hughbert, and this iteration, excuse me, of Hughbert and Elizabeth. What does a third level dude hitting if he's got 2 attacks? Does Minotaur have multi-attack? Nope. What has multi-attack at 3rd level? A werewolf, maybe? Not 3rd level, CR3. Multi-attack, yep. Okay, yeah, so the bites, that's 2d4. Let's maybe say 2d6. Punchy damage for the chassis, because that seems a little high. Yeah, 2d6. And what's its strength? The strength is 4, so 2d6 plus 4 is fine. I want to up the Flesh Golem's damage. So she's CR6, and she's got multi-attack, so it's 2 different hits. Something we can compare it to. I was looking at the Chimera. Chimera has lots of multi-attack. 2d6, 1d12, 2d6. So 11, 10, 11. So it's like 30 damage on a round. So then you would want to do... It's 2 hits. Yeah, something. Something, he said helpfully. Target takes... I'm going to say 3d8 for now, but we'll see. That could go up or down, depending. Because let's see, what would that be? 5 and 5 and 5 is 15. Yeah, that's actually under what the projection would be. Restraints. One of the Frankenstein operating slabs pops out of the floor. Ooh, that's a great lair action, Alan. Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of like weird items and gadgets and doohickeys in the lab that like I almost think there should be as many positive lair actions as there are negative lair actions. That like if the party is smart, they can go and grab like weird electrodes or like crazy stuff that they find like littered throughout the lab. You could do a thing where they work for the purposes of the combat, but then they like quickly short out or they break because they suck. Let me make a list for lair actions because that's a good one. Yeah, that like everything's booby-trapped in his laboratory. Restraints. Because I could even just see, like, yes, they have lair actions, but I could also see, like, designing the lair and saying, the lair looks like this, maybe you provide a map, maybe you don't, and you just give them a bunch of different horrifying things they can encounter. I just watched that old Mickey Mouse cartoon from the 30s where Pluto gets kidnapped and taken to an evil lab. There's some juice in there. Oh, for sure. And that's exactly the kind of like silly pseudo-science stuff that we're like drawing on from here. Once of the tables, good. One of the tables grabs character and restrains them. Maybe like shocks them or something like that too. That it's the live moment, right? Every round they remain restrained because you really want to. If it's lair actions, then we're talking the CR15 version, so you really want to juice that up. Okay. Hey Vaughn. Oh yeah, that's cool. What's up, Vaughn? Thanks for coming. An auto stitcher meant to sew up golem pieces heals a nearby target. Yes, that's cool. Auto stitcher. I think that like, yeah, I mean, you could also just give them, like, a bunch of lair actions, right? Like, give them a lot of different options, or just come up with a bunch of weird stuff in the lab. This one could be a really interesting write-up, I think. Let's see. If I move this, does that fuck up the... I move that around? Okay, great. I was worried. No, okay. It seems fine. I just want to be able to look at chat and write at the same time. Okay. An auto stitcher. I'm just going to steal what you said. I'm just going to copy it. Rather than me trying to summarize. Thanks, dude. Ooh, yeah. The camera zooms in on it. That's really good, dude. These are all good. I like the idea of them having like twice the normal number of lair actions or something like that. That's one of their cool abilities. Terrifying specimens. I like too that like my assumption would be that it breaks or something like that, but I like the idea that they just look at it like, oh god, right? There's like a flash of lightning and it reveals it. Like it doesn't actually escape. It's just really gruesome and horrible. That's great, Alan. Oh, I wanted to give Dr. Hughbert and his current iteration his hand crossbow, so he does not currently have it. Hand crossbow, which he's really not very good at, but again, if we're assuming that this is the level 10 appears in the child like canonical version, then he should also have that. So it is a ranged weapon attack. Ooh, hey, David. Yeah, Tesla coils. Faux show. I even like the idea that it's, like, tied to lightning. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's do lightning. I'm glad people showed up. I was worried they would not because I effed up the tweet. Tesla coil. I was writing David. Tesla coils. Shocks everybody. Everybody. Yeah, potential lightning damage when activating a device. I could also see the potential lightning damage being like after they use it, like they do it and then it overloads, right? Like so you only get one use out of it and then you have to make a save to avoid getting shocked. So all activating / using. I mean, that's the same thing, right? But then like when it dies, like after however many uses, forces target to make save. Yeah, so I talked about this a little bit, Vaughn, that like I like that idea too, but I think that it was making the stat blocks humongous. I think it's a cool notion. I'm debating putting in a sidebar about it as a potential option for DMs because I do think there's a lot of good meat there. But I'm worried that like just the stat block itself with all that stuff in it, like even with just one effect on these things, this is the size of the mid-range Dr. Hughbert stat block right now. It's like a page and a half. So I think there's got to be some kind of a balance because if you add in new mechanics for every single version of Alizabeth's powers, it becomes, there's so much bloat. So I think there's room for it somewhere. I think it's cool. I don't necessarily know if I want it bundled into Dr. Hughbert's actual stat block because I think it makes him just so cumbersome to run. But, well, yeah, big blocks are great. I'm not here to say it, but these blocks are huge already. So I think that like there's a place for it. I feel like it's a table maybe. So what I did along those lines is gross, Brooke. I color-coded all the serums. So the blue serum is the tranquilizer, and the green serum is the unnatural healing. The yellow serum is the carapace. So the idea being, hopefully, that this is the... Sorry, I'll stop scrolling around. This is the version that you could just run as is. But if you want more complexity, then you can go to a table and say, okay, they're hit with a green serum. Who got hit? What's the thing? And give them a lot more complexity if the DM wants it. I'm just worried about packaging that in. It just gets so huge. Yeah, I mean, that's generally my opinion about big blocks. When a girl walks in with an itty-bitty... See, now I can't make that work with an itty-bitty block and she rubs it in your face. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Somebody else with more time on their hands should conjugate that lyric for me. But that's what I'm thinking for the two different effects. I do think we could put that maybe into the devices. Could be cool. Like if... I mean, and honestly, that's just kind of baked into Alizabeth anyway. That like Alizabeth is a golem and she has lightning absorption. So you could easily do a thing where if all the devices blow up and cause lightning damage to everybody, that she always heals that whenever she's in the place. Anyone who deals any lightning damage in the room, it always goes to her. Like she always gains that back. You change her lightning absorption to be like at range, you know, in the next level, which I think is cool. That she sucks in all electricity. Okay, I was just putting in his hand crossbow attack. So I wanted to be shitty at it. Currently he's getting +7 with his syringes. So we're going to do +2, 3, 4, +4 to hit. Oh, I don't know what the range is on a hand crossbow. What's the range on a hand crossbow? But yes, I would like to do that too. It's just a matter of where. A grim eye wash station. Oh, it's so grim. The grimmest eye wash station. Fire suppression's cool. The idea that it likes anytime. Yeah, protective. What is PPE? Something about eyes, right? No, I forget. Hand crossbow is 30, 120. How do you stat up a ranged attack? I don't even remember now. Sorry guys, I feel like I'm having a brain fart. Where's her dagger? Agnemaw's got it on the bow. Sorry, sneaking over here to Agnemaw to steal some stats. Okay, yeah, like that. Sinister Bunsen. Oh, it's so Bunsen. Personal protective equipment. Thank you. And the thing is, like, I work at a pool. I know what that's supposed to mean, but you got it before I did. PPE. Personal protective equipment. Okay. Hand crossbow. Just slapping this in real quick, and then we're gonna get to work on the next version. +4 to hit. Range is 3120. You work in a lab, so you are a mad scientist. Holy shit. Here I was like talking to you about mad science. You knew the whole time. You knew the whole time, Brooke. 5. Yeah, so I love the idea of him having just a little doinker. Like just a little boink. Piercing damage. What do you work on, Brooke, if you don't mind my asking? What are you making in that lab? Okay. Boom. Yeah, that's great. You gotta have that for sure. I like that. Vaughn wants to have it's been X number of days since our last laboratory accident. But the thing is, I feel like it hasn't been, but maybe it's been when you attack or whatever, when you fight him, it's been 66 days since she became Elizabeth. Yeah, you could do that. But I feel like they have a lot more accidents than that. That's like a pretty decent record for Dr. Hughbert, I feel like. Okay, so we can get the AC and the hit points and stuff for her later. She seems pretty good for right now. I don't think that's her actual proficiency bonus, so put X. I don't think she's got any skills. She understands common, but cannot speak it. It did research on bubbles. Oh, yeah, that's really funny. On initiative track, those numbers magically like go back to 0. Oh, that's so funny that like they... But I guess, yeah, the thing is that then they would always be 0. Something like, there's some kind of a joke there, 100%. We'll just figure it out. Replace days with hours. Hours is good, or minutes, maybe. It's been 66 minutes since our last accident. And then the first time somebody takes damage, it goes to 0. Or you can break the fourth wall a little bit and say it's been X number of rounds, or something like that. Understands common. Days with hours. Quality control for acrylic products, sheets for jacuzzis, countertops. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, thanks so much, Brooke. I appreciate you getting out there and doing the hard work that none of the rest of us can do. But cannot speak. Okay. Yeah, great. So then, this version of Dr. Hughbert similarly has AC X and hit points X. So this is the CR8 version of Dr. Hughbert. His strength is... So his ability scores are still where they are. Oh, let's talk about legendary actions before we do that. So here was my thought with legendary actions. Is that while together, or while fighting together, why is it so small? It feels really small. While fighting together, oh, okay, you're literally a mad scientist, Brooke. Have you ever, like, exceeded the reach of man's imagination, or man's, like, grasp with your imaginings? Have you ever, like, crossed the line and made a horrible abomination? Because I might need to pick your brain if you have. Dr. Hughbert, you've invented a color that no eye should behold. And Elizabeth. Boy, legendary actions are weirdly worded. Not in industry. Legendary action. 5e. Vampire's got him. I always look at the vampire. Vampire. Admit it. You've made flubber. You've made it. Just admit it, okay? Just admit to us that you have made flubber. That's like an A+ flubber reference. Oh, man. Can take 3 legendary actions. I'm a big fan of anybody. I guess flubber came out in theaters. I'm a big fan of anybody who can make accurate references to Disney Channel original movies. Like Luck of the Irish and is it Xenon? Girl from the 31st Century or whatever? I forget. See, I can't do it, but I always appreciate them when they come along. Halloween Town, another one. Very spooky. So something about like when both present in the same encounter. Hughbert and Alizabeth can collectively take 3 legendary actions. Increased leaping. We have the steroid, but yeah, maybe I should make that one green in honor of Flubber. Yeah, I'm into that. Let's do it. So instead of it being the red serum, now this is the red serum, is the unnatural healing, which makes sense if you're getting more and more flesh. And then this one is the green serum because it makes you bounce. This is Flubby. This is the Flubster. Don't say you never contributed anything, Vaughn, because look, now we have Flubber canonically in All Hell Yog. Okay. Flubber. Where was I? Oh, legendary actions. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to generate 3 legendary actions. What's interesting about these is that they involve... Oh, zero gravity's cool. I like zero gravity. We do have... Dr. Hughbert has some gravity stuff, but has some like floaty stuff, so we have to be careful with that. Yep, that's definitely a good one. Alan, lair action, test subjects, cages clank open, add some yucky monsters to the mix. I like that. Put that in lair action. We need to generate a couple of legendary actions. Acids are good. Test subjects. Cages open. Nasty monsters. Enter the fray. I could see there being a thing too, because like you don't want to tip the balance too much in terms of difficulty, so there might be an interesting way to come up with a monster that you could then include in the product that would say something along the line that would basically be these like deranged, oh, the Alizabeth prototypes, oh, that's so good. They're like powered by the electricity. Yep. So this is what I was gonna say. That's so good, Vaughn. Killing it. I mean, Vaughn and Alan. Alan was also your idea. I'm just gonna put acid. Oh, shit. Nope, wrong thing. I'm just going to put acid. One ought to be defensive or sacrificial, like one or the other can take damage for their beloved. I like that. So we have something similar to that. Yep. That's good. Allow Alizabeth to move with legendary action would be good. So what's interesting about these legendary actions is that they kind of, they can be accessed by both of them. So do you have like, since you usually have 3 options, do you give one to the Doctor and one to Alizabeth and one that they do in concert? That seems cool to me. Dr. Hughbert does have Mounted Combatant, where it says, while mounted and targeted by a melee or ranged attack, Dr. Hughbert can spend his reaction to make Alizabeth the target of the attack instead of him. The conceit being that he's like hiding behind her. He could throw himself in front of danger for her, but I feel like because he can always sort of rebuild her, that's not always his instinct. I think she could protect him, certainly, but I don't know if you'd want it to go both ways. And I think that's part of the derangement of him, too, is that, like, she loves me. She'll do whatever I ask. Right. Villain monologuing, yeah. Well, then I feel like they should all have that, right? And traditionally, villain monologuing is the opposite of a charm because it's like a bad idea, right? Like, it doesn't work on the heroes. Yeah, you want to do... Or all the prototypes or the villain monologuing. Because that's kind of funny to me. So I do like a movement. Movement's good is an idea. Sacrifice is good. Monologuing, potentially. And then, because he's kind of a grandstander. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I'm trying to think if there's another villain for who that would work better. Because I think a lot of them could monologue. But I think Dr. Hughbert has, has a definite, like, you fools, the powers of science. I'm not opposed to that, honestly. There was one other one I felt like. So I think we need one that's, like, monologue's good. I think we need one that's, like, really wacky and out there. So it can't be... I think it has to be like a new kind of gear or like something where they work together, right? Oh, he can make players go insane. That's interesting. Give them a short-term madness. I like that. I was thinking maybe one of the serums could do that. Oh, maybe that's a better use of the confusion one. I think right now it's a psychotrope. That's what I call it. And it's kind of chunky. So yeah, that's interesting, David. Hughsplaining. That's pretty funny. I think we have a lot of command. I think fucking Agnema has it and Desdemonia has it. But there's definitely something to the idea of monologuing and it being some kind of a charm or like a distraction effect. I think, David, I might take your madness idea and put it in one of these serums in the psychotrope. Troubling findings. I like that Alan's job primarily, like he's had a lot of good ideas, but Alan's job primarily seems to be coming up with like, I think we talked about this, like roundabout. Oh, that's it, Alan. He takes your turn. He monologues over your turn. That's pretty funny. That's actually a really good use of a legendary action, too. I mean, I feel like that should be a lot of, oh, Eureka's really good. But, like, that should be worth a lot of them, I feel like. I feel like you can't just do that every round. But the notion of him monologuing through your turn is, like, oh, mwah, that's really good. I've actually never seen that either as a mechanic. Maybe people would hate it, but I think it's cool. Okay, so, takes over the next character's turn. It could be something like, do they get a chance to get their turn back, or does it just happen? Because I could see it being like a charisma check or something like that, like an intimidation or something. The character has to try to get him to stop talking, right? That like he's talking and you kind of like, you can't like get a word in edgewise. He's like so crazy. Because I'm worried about just like, yeah, you're right, they gotta save. Because otherwise they just take it. Make a wisdom save maybe, or charisma save. Wisdom/charisma save. That's so good. That's like, oh. So the thing with the sacrificial idea, which I think is really strong, is that it's a legendary action, not a reaction. So I think we could give her a reaction as one of her abilities, which I'm actually not opposed to, where she can throw herself in front of him. But I feel like he kind of already has that, and that a legendary action is like a separate action that takes place in the space in between turns. So Agnema has something similar, but obviously very different because they're Agnema, where as opposed to interposing, they have an ability, one of their legendary actions is Blasphemer. So the last creature to hit Agnema with an attack must make a DC 16 charisma saving throw or fall prone, racked by sobbing guilt. So there might be a way to do something like that, where if Dr. Hughbert gets hurt in a turn, then have Elizabeth have an ability where she gets to attack with advantage against that person, or similarly have Dr. Hughbert go mad and get to fire an extra syringe at anyone who dealt damage to Elizabeth that turn, or something like that. There might be something in there, but I feel like the sacrificial thing doesn't work as a legendary action, even though it happens in between turns. Movement, I think, is great. Maybe they can move to each other. Like, either one can take it, and they can move up to their speed towards the other one, right? That it's about, like, reuniting. Reunion or something like that. Lover's Bond, yeah. Dr. Hughbert or Elizabeth can move their speed. As long as they move closer together. They can't run away. They have to get closer. As long as they end their turns nearer than where they started. Nearer to one another than when they started. Beautiful. Dark Entanglement. Interesting. For the Lover's Bond one, or the monologue? Because I feel like the monologue one has to be just like villainous monologue or something like that. I think you have to call it out. I mean, I guess you could describe it as like Dr. Hughbert monologues over them. So we need another one then. I think sacrifice is cool. I'm trying to think of another, like, is there a weird, like, gadget or is there some kind of science? 'Cause we have, like, well, I guess Lover's Bond is either of them, right? Monologuing is just Hughbert. So then what is the Alizabeth exclusive one? Oh, yeah. Codependence. I think codependence we have, right? As one of the... Yeah, that's true. None of these deal damage. And they don't have to. I mean, I think Elizabeth's could deal damage. That she gets an extra attack. Or that could be the lover's revenge thing. Where, you know, she specifically gets to attack someone who dealt damage to the doctor. But I feel like that's very conditional. It's like based on... there was an ability that we almost gave to her, but Cody actually ended up going against. Yes, exactly, Vaughn. Exactly. Vaughn says a lightning attack is on brand. There was an ability we almost gave the in-game version of Elizabeth called Overclock, or Overload, where she would just like shoot out electricity in all directions. I don't know why Cody didn't go with it, because it's like so cool. I was planning on saving it for the higher level version of her, but we could put it here as a legendary action, right? And then the higher level version would have it too. I like that a lot, actually. So it would be a big... These things can happen outside the lair, yes. So then the tech stuff is tough, but I think something like an Overload is right. It's like a electrical blast. So maybe Overload is 2 actions and Monologuing is 2 actions, so you can't do both on the same turn, but you have to pick, but you can have them move as much as you want, right? In all directions. So it's like it's I think she's the center and then it goes out. I'm trying to think what the term for that is. In 4th edition, it's a close burst. Are there any spells like that I can model this off of, where you're the center and then everything around you gets shocked? Or shocked or damaged or whatever. Because Fireball's out. Thunderwave is like, I guess kind of like Thunderwave. I thought Thunderwave was like away from you, like in a box. Lecture is good, yeah. Lecture is solid. Thunderwave, yeah. You're right, okay. Each creature in 5 would keep originating from you. Okay, cool. So Thunderwave. So I want to up that. I'm going to say 15 feet is probably pretty good. Each creature... excluding the Doctor. Excluding Dr. Hughbert. Call Lightning, I think, is individual blasts. Like 1 bolt. Like, comes down from above. Must make a... Oh, sorry, within a 15-foot cube originating from Elizabeth. Must make a DCX Constitution saving. I guess it'd be reflex, right? If it's, or dexterity if it's electricity. Saving throw. Yeah, it's kind of like Chain Lightning. I think it hits everybody at once. I don't think it like zaps around. It could at higher levels maybe. So it definitely damages them. They take lightning damage. Does it have some other effect? I mean, I feel like probably not, because it's only 2 actions, right? And it's already multiple targets, and I feel like it's a decent amount of damage. Bioelectric Discharge, Meat Zap. I like something with Overload. I think the idea that she gets like dialed up to 11, but there might be something Bioelectric Overload maybe to put some extra... Meat Zap is so gross. Bioelectric. And they like Dr. Hughbert is just like somehow immune. Oh, it can oh, that's true. Each creature excluding Dr. Hughbert but including Elizabeth. That's perfect, Vaughn. You got it. Yeah, so she's included in it. On a failure. So I guess that's the question, though. Maybe, yeah, you get rid of that, and you just say she regains the number of hit points equal to, yeah. The target... yeah, let's look it up. On a successful save, on a failed save, each creature takes... On a failed save... Oop, that should stay. We got a good chat going. Everybody's really active. Lots of cool ideas. On a failed save, the target takes... Keep it low. Keep it 2d8 lightning damage. Half as much on a successful save. Something like that. I'll look up the specific wording later. Alizabeth heals or regains hit points equal to the amount of damage dealt. Equal to the damage dealt to one creature. Damage dealt to each creature. Because, yeah, you have to write it in such a way where it doesn't sound like she's getting all of the, like, the total hit points. She's getting the same, because it's the same, right? You roll the same damage to everybody. Equal to the damage dealt to each creature. The individual damage. There's some wording there. Damage dealt to each. Yeah, okay. I like lecture. We're going to say, like, Alizabeth blasts out with lightning in all directions. It's a little wordy, but just to give them a bit of a visual painting. Dr. Hughbert monologues. Incessantly... One creature within 30 feet of Dr. Hughbert who can hear him. It doesn't even have to, like, see him. It just has to be able to hear him. Must make a DC X. So do we think it's wisdom or charisma? I feel like it's wisdom, because I think wisdom is the trait that governs madness, right? It could be charisma, though. Wisdom is usually done for these kinds of things. And charisma is the one we use a lot for Agamaw, so I might want to keep it on wisdom for here. Saving throw. On a failed save. On a failure. I like on a failure. The target is stunned. Until the end of their next turn. The target can take no actions. I think they can move, but they can't do anything. Can take no actions. Or must spend its action listening. What is useful or not, or interesting or not. Yeah, I think wisdom makes sense. It must spend its... So I don't want to just say they're stunned, because I don't think they're, like, incapacitated. You know, if you tried to attack them, you wouldn't get advantage or anything like that. But I think they can't take their action... and they can't do bonus actions, and they can't do reactions, right? On a failure, the target loses its action or cannot take actions, bonus actions, or reactions until the start of its next turn. Until the end of its next turn. Start of its next turn, maybe. Yeah, Flower Pot can tell it. Taking detailed notes. That's pretty funny. I don't know if we should go that far, but that's really funny. Because I think the conceit is like, maybe you're enthralled by it, but maybe you're also just like, hey, wait, yes, okay, but I was gonna, let me stop talking so I can shoot you, right? Like, that you're, that he's like interrupting you, that you were going to do something, and he like starts to say it right as you start to attack. You're like, okay, yes, but I was gonna, can you just let me, okay, now I'm gonna shoot you, right? Like, that it's somewhat that you're like enthralled and somewhat that you're annoyed. Can take, but I think you're right, must spend its action listening. I'll put in taking notes in there. It's silly, I'll put it in. Taking detailed notes. I don't know if we'll keep it, but I think it's funny for right now. Okay, great. Those are so good, y'all. Nice job. So that takes one, these take two, that takes two. So then you have to pick They can move as much as they want, right? They can move 3 times if they need to. They can rejoin, and each round they pick whether they want to do bioelectric overload or lecture. Okay. That feels good to me. I think she has a good sacrificial thing. Oh, yes, I wanted to redo Purple Serum. So the target must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. Riveting lecture. Yeah, that's possible. Because the joke is there's like bolts in the neck, riveting lecture. Okay, the target must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or for 1 minute. So I wanted to look at Psychotrope. It needs to be reworded, but it's basically like a confusion effect. I don't think it's as good as David's idea of giving the character a short-term madness. So I think they get shot with it, and it has Tasha's hideous laughter effect, where and that was one of my ideas originally, but then it was exactly the spell. I thought it was too similar. So I think you have Tasha's hideous laughter for 1 round, and then you develop a short-term madness, right? So you can't. There's no save. Oh no, yeah. There's a save. There's a save to get out of it. There's a save to avoid it, but there's no. It's not continuing, right? There is a madness table, yes. So you develop a short-term madness that you just roll from, and that's actually not that uncommon of a mechanic to put in the game. Is to say like go to this table and do whatever you need. So let's actually do the target must succeed on DC Wisdom saving throw, or fall. What is it like? Fall prone. Look up Tasha's hideous laughter, because I like the idea that they just cackle madly, right? That it's Tasha's hideous laughter ostensibly, but it's really like Dr. Hughbert's cackle, right? Like you see sort of the drugs that Hughbert is taking. Or fall prone, incapacitated with deranged laughter. Becoming incapacitated with deranged laughter. In addition, or until the end of their next turn. So just separate these out, right? You don't want to say, and gains a short-term madness at the end of their next turn. It could be. Who knows? Who knows what's in there? I think that's a big part of it, too, that, like, you just don't know. In addition, the target gains 1 short-term madness. Oh, madness. Roll on table DMG page number, whatever. Yeah, I think that's quicker, cleaner, simpler. So you get they're in combat, they're taken out for a round, but then they also end up with some weird psychosis. Okay, cool. Let's move on. I would like to try to hit this next bit here. I want to try to get Dr. Hughbert done today. That would be my goal. So Dr. Hughbert, some cool title, like Mastermind or something like that. Mad Genius, the genius Dr. Hughbert. I'm just going to put comma Mad Genius. That's not right. We'll come up with a cooler one. Alan, you're on it. Because we have Dr. Hughbert. We have Hughbert, Apprentice Artificer, is the first one, because he's working for his wife, Elizabeth. Tenured, Jesus Christ. Apprentice Artificer, and then it's Dr. Hughbert Hilkington, and she's Elizabeth Flesh Golem. And then I want to do something like Golem Juggernaut or something like that for her. But he's medium humanoid, neutral evil. All this is essentially the same. Professor Emeritus. Strength, Dex, I'll say the same. Con, I think we can bring up. Like he's gotten stronger from testing himself. I think he's up to. Was he 20 here? Oh, why is his intelligence? Oh, that's Elizabeth. 20. So I think he's up to 22 intelligence. I think he's goddamn. He's a genius. His wisdom goes down to 6. A university only he can see. His own university. His charisma is reduced to 8. So now, yeah, he's a madman. So this is one thing I thought was really interesting. Dr. Hughbert, Professor Emeritus? Dr. Hughbert Emeritus? I feel like that's a little chunky. Hughbert Professor Emeritus. There's something there. I love Emeritus. I think it's right. I think Dr. Hughbert Professor Emeritus is, like, too long. And also, like, it doesn't tell you what he is, right? Like, it's funny, but it doesn't tell you, it doesn't convey, like, he's in his pinnacle. The notion of him attending a university that he founded and he's the only student and also the only professor, I think that's fucking genius. But I don't know how to convey all that in just the guy's name. He lays claim to a universe. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what his proficiency bonus is. I don't know what his saves are yet, but they're good. So this is one thing I thought was really interesting. He gets worse at medicine the higher level he gets. Well, I don't know if he gets worse, but he maintains his +2 bonus to medicine. That, like, Dean of Inquiry, silliness. Too academic. He's like a lone wolf. It's funny. I think it's somewhere in there. But anyway, if you look at his skills, he's got Arcana, Deception, History, Investigation, Medicine. His proficiency bonus is increasing at the same rate that his Wisdom is decreasing. So he actually pretty much just maintains the same medicine check every single level, which I think is one of those funny happy accidents where, like, he was never good at that part, right? He is the scientist, so he develops the, like, gadgetry. That's his thing. He built the chassis, but he doesn't know anything about, like biotech or any of that. So he has, like, a very, like, poor understanding of it. So the higher level he gets, the less, like, he remains the same competency because he doesn't do it right. You know, like, he couldn't heal you. He could try, but his understanding of medicine is so warped that, like, it wouldn't really do anything. He might heal you, but he would, like, stitch you up in this terrible way, or he would use a dirty needle, or, like, I like that his medicine actually doesn't get better, that he's not a good doctor. Yeah, exactly. His blinders remain firmly in place. Like, he gets around medicine, doesn't actually do it the proper way. Okay, he has common. I wanted to give him an item. I think I called it the translaphone, the, like, earpiece thing that he's got. But that won't be in his stat block. That will be somewhere else because it's like a magic item you can get. It's basically a helm of comprehend languages, but it's the translaphone. Okay, so the challenge rating is 8. So that's all fine. I can do the math on that later. He's got the gadgetry, and he's still got mounted combatant. I wouldn't mind giving him one more ability, one more trait at this level, but again, big fat stat block. So gadgetry. So what did we decide for his gadgets? It was telekinesis before. There was one other one. Oh, it was lightning damage, I think. Did I write down his gadgets? Vaughn and I came up with them last time. I think Juan was here too. Oh, that's Desdemonia. Too far. Did I write them down somewhere? I should have. Oh no. So, I think it's electro boots were levitation. Infrared goggles were petrification. And his magna gloves, I think, were lightning damage. Any creature that he... How does a telekinesis word it? So yeah, he's got these, like, magneto gloves that let him pick up objects and throw them around. He starts with Mage Hand, and then it becomes telekinesis, and then it... Any creature that he moves with his gloves takes, we'll say 2d6 lightning damage for now. It could be more, it could be less. I'll just maybe put XDX. XDX lightning damage. So he can still grab you, but then when he moves you around, you take lightning because it's like bolts of electricity are shooting out from his hands. Infra goggles. His vision can penetrate 1 foot of stone. In addition, he can cast Arcane Eye as an action. In addition, he can cast Arcane Eye. Is there a stone to a flesh to stone spell? Heat Metal is a good spell for Artificers to have. Cook a Paladin. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe that's better than Petrification. I love Petrification, but maybe Heat Metal is better. It's lower level, definitely. It's not as cool. Or Petrification is, like, more damaging. But he's only a CR8. Maybe he could Petrify. I don't know. What is the chat thing? Heat Metal versus Petrification effect with the goggles. Because if there's a spell, then you could just do... in addition, you can cast Arcane Eye. Could work for the gloves. Do you think that's better than lightning damage? Because I like the combo. I like the building combo of lightning damage, where with the gloves, where he grabs you with telekinesis. So it starts with Mage Hand, and he grabs you with telekinesis. Is more powerful, and then it's still essentially the same ability. That has to supplant. I just worry that then it's so complicated that he can see. Because I don't want to take away any of his abilities he had previously. If he can see through, he's got X-ray vision, he's got Heat Metal, and he's got Petrification. I just feel like that makes an Arcane Eye. Yeah, exactly. It'll bloat. I think it's got to be one or the other or move him around, right? Let's come back to it. I'll put Heat Vision or Heat Metal because I think it's cool. But I don't know if we're quite there yet. He's definitely got Levitation. His speed is doubled. He can move as if under the influence of the Spider Climb and Levitate spells. Climb and Levitate spells for 1 minute. Once activated, they can be reactivated until a short rest. So he can Spider Climb and he can Levitate. That's fine for me. Let's come back to this. He's still got Mounted Combatant. I think by now he has a saddle. So I think we can get rid of if while Dr. Hughbert is mounted and keep it there. Is there some other cool trait we can give him that could go there? I mean, maybe that's Heat Metal in some way. That feels like another gadget to me, and I don't want to give him more gadgets because I think 3 is fine. But is there some other cool ability or trait or something we could give him just to give him a little bit of extra juice there? There are the serums, and he's got 2 more serums to add. That way he comes up with a total of 8 serums. Because he used a lance! That's so silly. A lance on her back. He's got the... the idea of that is fucking ridiculous. He's got the hand crossbow, which we'll get into in his actions, that now lets him shoot a serum. I think he figures out a way to... Right? Ranged weapon attack. So it's like a cattle prod thing. Oh, as like a melee weapon? Could be. Oh, did I put that in the wrong place? No, that's the right place. A lightning rod is interesting. Yeah, predicting an opponent's attacks to impose disadvantage or something like that. Defensive is cool. Something about a lightning rod is kind of cool to me too, because the notion of him, that he is a source of electricity for her, right? That like that's where the healing comes from. I mean, yeah, it seems like it kind of steps a little bit on the toes of the healing serum of unnatural healing if he's providing. But the notion of like that he's got like a backpack with a lightning rod on it and that it's hitting him and it's going to her is kind of cool. But I think defensive capability is good. Just something. I mean, it could even be like a bad thing. Plugging into Elizabeth like a USB. It's kind of funny. Like, you know, it's like a proton pack, or like, does he have something else that like some other little bit of like mojo that he can play with? Go ahead and talk about that, chat. We got some good ideas. Yuck, Alan, you're gross, bad man. From 3 to 6, so it would be 98. If it takes damage, so I'm gonna putz with the serums. If you guys want to talk about other potential options. It remains unconscious for 1 hour if the target. Smarter every day. A Tesla coil gun that is so badass. He does not have a slow, but I feel like that's kind of in the serum category. And it's very similar to me to putting them to sleep. Like, to me, slow isn't as good as just knocking somebody out. But it's possible. Could be a gravity thing. It could be a random gadget. It could be something like that. Takes damage. Oh, if the target takes damage while asleep, while unconscious, it can make a saving throw. It can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw to awaken. So it's like a beefed up version of the tranquilizer that even if you take damage, you will probably wake up, but there's a chance that you might not. You could bomb that save. Like that's how deep the the tranquility is. It's such good tranquility. Okay, 15 hit points. That's all the same. This goes up to 8d6 or 7d6, I think. He gained 10 hit points for being plugged into Alizabeth. Yeah, that's not bad. If he's got some kind of a lightning conductor that, like, he gets... Whenever she takes lightning damage, he gets half of it, or he gains as much. He gets lightning absorption, too. Not terrible. It's close. Because I like it being defensive in some way, right? That, like, even if it's not AC or something like that, if it's... Yeah, it's not right for him to have, like, a mech suit or something like that. But I think you're on the right track, Vaughn. I don't know, like, some way to give them, like, an actual tether is interesting. Not necessarily a physical tether, but some kind of their fates are interwoven. That, like, it's kind of like Mounted Combatant, but you could do the Shield Guardian thing. The Shield Guardian... Oh, my hat is so weird. Hold on. The Shield Guardian does a thing where it, like, takes half of the damage. So Hughbert could have some kind of a link between the two of them where she absorbs half of the hit points. But then that kind of negates the need for mounted combat on some level, right? Right? But something like that might be right if it's like a tether, a link. Has some healing connection to Alizabeth. I think Shield Guardian or temp hit points from lightning damage, something like that. 76 temps. Okay, so right now, let's look at if you can stun do with some lightning lance and have Alizabeth go nuts on them, that have a synergy and a cool image. I hear you. That feels like an action though, right? Which we can give him, and that's true. It doesn't have to be a trait. I was imagining it being another trait, something more passive. But you could give him an attack, right? Maybe a life drain that grants him 10 hit points. Life drain could be, but how is he establishing it, right? He's got the serums, I think, are his primary form of attack. I don't mind him having some kind of a lightning attack. Maybe I'm getting too specific. I think these are all good ideas. I don't want anyone to think these aren't good or not good contributions, but, like, I gotta figure out what's right. So some kind of a lightning thing is cool. I like the tether. I like the lightning tether. That he's got, like, a conductor on his belt or something like that, and that, like, there's a line of electricity between him and Alizabeth, and that he can, like, power her up, or he can do something. But again, that's all the serums, right? Shouldn't the serums be doing that? You could fundamentally rewrite him and have him just be able to harm other people, but I feel like him making her huge and giving her stuff is part of what makes that cool. He's shooting her with the syringes as much as he's shooting other people. Oh, that's not terrible. So here, maybe, I think you might have it, Vaughn. I think that it's, yeah, I think it's a combination. I think that we change the way Mountain Combatant works, where it says that if he's mounted on her, then she also benefits from his gadgets, right? Or at least from his boots, from his electro boots. And then he has a separate ability called like Life Tether or something like that, where she takes half of the damage for him. So we get rid of the bit in mounted combat about him like using her body as a shield. And we say, while mounted, Alizabeth, Dr. Hughbert, something about like Elizabeth gains the benefits of Dr. Hughbert's electro boots. Electro boots. I like the hyphen, the silly hyphen in there. Electro boots. See above. And then some kind of a life tether. While Dr. Hughbert. Okay. Yeah, thanks, dude. Have a good dinner. I will see you later, hopefully. If not, I'll see you in a week, buddy. While Dr. Hughbert is within 30 feet of Alizabeth, how does the Shield Guardian work? So whenever we play Dungeon Crawl, I always listen to the Uncharted soundtrack, and now I have like weird little bits of Uncharted stuck in my head. If Dr. Hughbert is within 60 feet, we'll say 30 feet. I don't think it's crazy to go 60, because again, I like the idea of like the lightning tether. Half of any damage dealt to the wearer. Half of any damage he takes, rounded up, is transferred to Alizabeth. Cool. Yeah, that's fine. I think that makes it's quicker and cleaner. It's like the same amount of text, but is better. Okay. So I do think he's got a hand crossbow still. Roll a d8 or choose one. I don't know if his attack bonuses and things go up, but they probably do. I do want him to have the ability to shoot the alternatively, Dr. Hughbert can fire a syringe from his hand crossbow. His hand brow, good. Jesus. And I do think he's got like a lightning prod. Lightning lance is kind of cool. Lightning prod. So that way, if he like absolutely had to, if he's like riding on her back and she's like really hurt, he can lash her with the lightning thing and heal her up, right? Yeah, right? That's basically what we're going to do here with her, is make her just like, she's going to be huge sized and just a monster. You know what I mean? I'm going to give her like 4 arms. It's going to be fucking wild. So this is melee weapon attack. Because I like the idea of him riding her and like lashing her with it. And then it looks like he's hurting her, but he's just healing her, right? Because she just takes lightning. He's embedded in her Cronenberg style. That's pretty horrifying. Plus X to hit. Reach 5 feet. I'm going to give it like reach 10 feet. Because it's lightning, so he could like zap you from a short distance away. It's like a lightning whip. 1 target. Hit. Yuck. Alan, that's so gross. Hit X. Lightning damage. Is there like a good extra effect there? Or is it just lightning? Like, they're not stunned. What happens when you get hit by lightning? You know, like with fire damage, it's like ongoing fire. You know? Like thunder, it's like push. Like I wonder if there's like a secondary effect, but that could be fine. Lightning prod. He could pull like lightning lure. The spell like pulls you in, so maybe it pulls you closer as opposed to pushes you away. But I don't know. We can come back to it. Okay. So he's got these syringes. We're still working on these. Green serum. So, okay, here's what we have. For 10 minutes, this target size increases by 1 category. So I don't think we should make the green serum go any bigger than that. Oh, we have to still have this as green. This should be... Oh, no, yeah, it should be green because that's flubber. Just double checking. It has advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. That's fine. They gain a plus 30 bonus to speed. Maybe let's have this be 20 and have this one be 15. Because the plus 20 bonus to speed seems crazy to me. Well, you know what? Screw it. This is going to be a plus... They get plus 30 speed. Because now they're huge, right? Dude. Alan, what are you doing? You're a gross bad man. That's not a terrible idea, but we're not doing a CR30, Dr. Hughbert. But I like the idea of that being the trajectory of the character, that he eventually just, like, they meld. Yuck. Deal an additional 1d8 damage. Orange serum. So, okay, so this is the adhesive. So for 1 minute, the target adheres to anything that touches it. A huge or smaller creature adhered to the target is also grappled by it. Attempts to escape this grapple have disadvantage. It makes me think that, like, they also gain, like, resistance to damage, that because they're so goopy, like, it blunts. Yeah. In addition... But I guess they already have resistance from damage. If he's casting it on Alizabeth, she already has resistance from non-magical stuff. So it can't be resistance. What's like another positive benefit? Like weapons could get stuck. Attacks could have disadvantage. Cryo serum that freeze dries someone. That's kind of cool. I was planning on doing like a polymorph serum and like a narcotic serum. One that would like calm emotions. That he would have like a down girl kind of a thing. So what I've been trying to do is I'm trying to keep it like balanced. So you have some that are tranquilizers and some that are positive and some that are negatives. Like about half of them are for Alizabeth and half of them are for bad guys. So tranquilizer is for bad guys, natural healing is for Alizabeth, carapace is for Alizabeth, steroid is for Alizabeth. Oh crap! These are mostly good for Alizabeth. Okay, so we actually do need a couple of nasty ones. So we have Psychotrope is bad, but everything, these 4 are all good. Uh-oh, we might have to move these around. So, Psychotrope's bad. Tranquilizer's bad. I had 2 more. I had the Polymorph, which was bad. It like turned you into like a Cronenberg slime for a round, and then you like reconstitute inexplicably. And then I had like a Zone of Truth one. So yeah, we might need to move these. That sucks. A poison serum, I thought about poison, but that feels kind of what would it do? Like maybe it could rot you away or something like that. Yeah, great. Let me write up a table of bloodborne illnesses. Yeah, I think there's a polymorph one that like turns you into a horrible goop. And then at the end of when you save, you just like reconstitute, and it's like, what the fuck happened to me? I think that's good. Do we need to move some of these around? Or some of these not as good? I mean, the adhesive one's not great. I like it. I think it's an interesting way, but it's really just a defensive spell, and we were having trouble with it anyway. So maybe let's go up, and let's get rid of it. So orange, then, needs to be something else. If we're going to do cryo, that seems like it's... blue. We have to move the colors around. So there's cryo, there's poison. We can move colors. We could say that the carapace is orange, right? And then the poison is yellow. I don't mind cryo. Because I think poison could be like ongoing poison damage. Oh, cryo could be white. That's true. What does cryo do? It deals damage, right? Presumably, ice, cold damage, and then it freezes you. Is that better or worse than tranquilizer? So yellow serum is a toxin. I feel like the toxin, because I want to try to keep them so we have like 4 on the first iteration, and they're all non-lethal. None of those deal any damage because he's not ostensibly evil yet. And then the next one, oh, flesh just petrification's good. Yeah. Oh, that's really smart because that's what I was gonna do with the eyeballs. So that solves the eyeball thing. If the goggles can do heat metal, he can like bzz your goggles. Then he can petrify you. Yeah, that's good. No, that's not too strong at all. That might be for the later version, but I think that's really good. Okay, so let's get rid of adhesive. So the question comes down to cryo or poison. Oh, flesh to ice? Huh. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. You could do that. I don't know why cryo's not connecting with me for some reason. But I think it could work. Maybe there's a thing with it where like you take a certain amount of ice there, because the way that like Cone of Cold works, I think, if you are reduced to 0 hit points by it, you're turned into an ice sculpture. So maybe there's a thing where like it has that, or it has like if you take X amount of damage, you are petrified, like you're turned into ice. Yeah. So okay, that's cryo, polymorph, toxin. So what does the toxin do? The toxin to me just feels like it's like a pile of poison damage and then ongoing poison damage. Like each round that you don't succeed, you take a bunch of poison. You could also have the poison to condition. I mean, it could be really nestedly bad. It could give you like disadvantage on con saves, and it's a con save to get rid of it. Like it's extra nasty because it's almost impossible to get rid of. Yeah, I like that. The target must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution save. DC 15 Constitution saving throw, or take XDX poison damage at the start of each of their turns. Or at the start of each of their turns, the target must succeed. Well, no, because it's maybe it's at the end of each turn, so like you get hit with it, and it doesn't seem to have an effect. And then when your turn comes around, if you fail the con save at the end of your turn, you take a pile of damage, and you have disadvantage on con saves. At the end of the target's turn, they take XD. Is that dumb? Am I doing this wrong? XDX poison damage. Or they must make a DC whatever saving throw. But yeah, I guess you can't do that because the end of your turn is like the last thing that happens. So you can't, like, let's say you did that. You know, if they fail to save at the end of their turn, they take X amount of damage. But then if someone wanted to like have that or do something like as a reaction off of that, so it's got to be a different way. So they could take a pile of damage up front and then continue to take that damage every round until they save. Okay, so the target must succeed. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to figure this out. The target must succeed on a, or must make a DC 15. I think that's the correct DC for this level. DC 15 Constitution save. Saving throw. On a failure, the target takes XDX poison damage and is XDX poison damage at the start. No. Yeah, at the start of each of their turns for 1 minute. In addition, The target is poisoned. No, because that is intoxicated. Because you can make it its own condition. You can say the target like is poisoned or whatever. But poisoned is already an ability. The target, you don't want to say intoxicated because that means drunk, right? Is infected. While infected, the target takes XDX poison damage at the start of each of their turns, or is infected for 1 minute. While infected, and has disadvantage on all Constitution saves. Constitution saves. Envenomated. Envenomed. I kind of like infected. Envenomed is a great word, though. In addition, at the end of their turn, at the end of... Where is this? This thing is a thing. This is a phrase that you use a lot. At the end of the target's turn, at the end of their turn, the target can attempt another saving throw to end the effect. The target can attempt another saving throw to end the effect. I do like your idea, Alan, with the Dirty Needles. I think I'm going to go in and say that this one, the CR8 version, the higher level version of him, takes 1 piercing damage, 2d6 poison damage, and the target is subject to one of the following. So like every time, or like 1d8 or 1d10 or something like that, 1d8 poison damage, the target is subject. So like you get hit, you get pricked, yes, but now his needles are dirty, right? Like every time you get pricked with it, it's an additional like little tax of damage. Okay, so then orange serum, you're out of here. Carapace is orange. 05. So presumably then with this one, the higher level version of the toxin is just more damage and the save's higher. Cool. So then we have 2 more serums we have to develop. So we have the cryo serum, so the white serum. Cryo something. Yeah, no, I think that's fine. He could do 2 times. It would be a lot to handle, but I think it's possible. You could have multi-attack, right? It's getting kind of chunky. Dr. Hughbert can make 2 lightning prod attacks. Alternatively, he can fire his hand crossbow. He can make 2. I think it might be too much for him to be able to shoot 2 serums at once, because I think he just got the ability to shoot serums, but I think he could like shoot his hand crossbow and shoot a serum, or he could use lightning thing and shoot a serum. He can fire, because I think we're also going to make the point that he can only do it, like, you can't, yeah, he can use each one once per day. So if he's shooting them 2 per round, then that's only going to be 4 rounds. Like, at this level, you kind of want him to have a bunch of different tricks. So I think he can only fire 1 of them per round. Which at that point, honestly, I think it might be better just to get rid of this. Although, no, because I think you're right. I think having multi-attack is good, but I think having him fire 2 serums per round is too much. I think he can make a lightning prod attack and a hand crossbow attack. He can make 1 lightning prod attack and 1 hand crossbow attack. Because, like, if he is mounted on her, he might as well hit her with the thing and heal her a little bit, right? Something like that. That might not be the exact wording. Cool. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. We're going to see if we can plow through this. So the white serum is cryo. And then this one is polymorph, which I think is kind of the nastiest one. Transformative agent or something like that. So, I don't know what you call it, cryo serum, cryo something. So the target has to make a save, presumably. Must succeed on a DC X Constitution save. Or take Goopifier, you got it. XDX cold damage. It should be must make on a failure. On a failure, the target takes XDX cold damage. On a successful save, on a success, they take half. If the target is reduced to 0 hit points by this damage, they are transformed into an ice sculpture as per see flesh to stone PHB number or page whatever. So yeah, I think it's not like yeah, and is slowed or and is does it have another effect? Otherwise, it's just like a big pile of damage. I like it as being like a finishing move, right? If somebody is low on hit points, that he can peg them and turn them into an ice sculpture. I think it's kind of neat. But I don't know if it should have an additional effect, like the conceit being that you don't use it unless they're already pretty low on hit points, right? Someone who's already bloodied. Something like that's fine for now. Get rid of this. Sorry, it's so messy, dudes. He's been easily the messiest character we've worked on so far. He's just got so many different competing ideas. Okay, this is another. The target must succeed. Must make. I always do that. Must make a DCX. Can't heal for the next round. It's kind of interesting. Cannot regain hit points. And cannot regain hit points until the end of their next turn. Or until the start of Hughbert's next turn. They take half damage. And can, oh shit, come on. Take half damage and can regain hit points normally. Hit points normally. Good idea, David. They must make a DCX. I feel like it's Constitution again. A lot of con saves, but that, I mean, that seems on brand for him if it's like poisons and stuff. Boy, Dr. Hughbert's got a big stat block right now. At least this version does. On a success. On a failure, the target takes XDX necrotic damage and is transformed, is polymorphed into an inchoate slime. Oh yeah, what if he's turned into a slime? Like a jelly. Like an ooze monster. Ooze. He does have a lot of awesome abilities. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. I think he's definitely our most complicated bad guy so far. Agdama is up there too, I think, at high levels. Let me go look and see how beefy that stat block is. Ugh, Desdemonia's is pretty long too. She's got legendary actions and regional effects though too. And then Agdama, pretty long. Oh, that's the... Here we go. Layer actions and legendary actions. Yeah, it makes the Agdama's not actually that chunky. Desdemonia is chunkier. That surprises me. She's got curves. She's got some meat on her bones. And is polymorphed into... I like it them being turned into some kind of an ooze monster. Like what's the shittiest kind of ooze? The gray ooze? It's like a CR 1/2. Yeah. I guess the question is what happens to them if they take damage in that form. Like, I like the simplicity of just turning them into an ooze, but I think it might open up a bunch of other questions, right? Because I like the idea that, like, it's... Gibbering Mouther is kind of what I was originally imagining, but I think that, like, if you turn into a Gibbering Mouther, then you have to, like... I guess, yeah, because they're insane. Gibbering Mouther, to me, is, like, a little too... Cthulhuid. It's like a Shoggoth, but I don't know. They're also like not that powerful, actually. And it could be kind of fun to let them play with it, right? And like kind of specifically emphasize that it's just like a horrible blob, right? They have a bunch of weird abilities. They have like, they turn the ground into like dough-like difficult terrain. Blinding Spit and Gibbering. Gibbering Mouther might be a little bit too much. I think an ooze, you could like look at the ochre jelly maybe. Like a simple ooze I think is fine. Well, I think they're always polymorphed into the same thing, right? They turn into a goop. The ochre jelly splits, so you don't want to do that. Well, right. I guess that's kind of interesting. I don't really feel like he is much of a polymorpher. I think it's just like a horrible toxin that just like, or it's just like a horrible serum that just turns you into nothing, into like Cronenberg's slime. Because for me, what I liked was the notion that like you turned into, so it could be a Gibbering Mouther. I mean, that's fine. But you turned into something horrifying and like from which there is no return. Like now you are this thing. And you're this like awful Rick and Morty slime creature, and you think this is it, my character's dead, and then at the end of your turn you just turn back into yourself. And like how like you reconstitute that, like it's not even that you turn into an ooze, it's that like your whole body like disincorporates into goop, and you think, oh my god, this is it, I'm fucked forever, like I can't do anything, my character's dead, and then you just come back and you're fine. That like whatever it was is just temporary, like perfectly like reform back into what you were. So I think a gray ooze might be the right choice. You could do a Gibbering Mouther, but I feel like Gibbering Mouther, like, you have a lot of weird abilities, like the gibbering that doesn't make any sense. Like, I liked that you just kind of, like, fold away into nothing, into this slop. It could be harmless, but there's also something kind of fun about crawling around and, like, is this what I am now? Like, I can't decide. I think it's, rather than, like, saying you turn into a ball of slime and you can move the speed and as an action you can do this, I think it's easier to pick a monster that already exists. I think the Gibbering Mouther is probably the closest, but it's very complex. And it also has like a Cthulhuid implication that I don't know if that's right here. What if you do this? Polymorphed into an inchoate slime of flesh and limbs. Something like that, and then say, like, use the Gibbering Mouthers. You know what I mean? Like, polymorphed into a Gibbering Mouther, I think, is just easier. Yeah, you could, but I'd be worried about then you have to, like, stat up, like, you turn into this thing. I also think there's something fun about being turned into a Gibbering Mouther, too, because then it lets the player for a round be like, I'll fucking attack them, right? Like, you kind of get licensed to be a monster for a round. That I think is more fun. I think you're right. Just doing an ooze isn't as cool. I think getting turned into a Gibbering Mouther would be more fun to play than just a chicken or a frog, right? Which, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think giving them, and especially with the notion of Dr. Hughbert, like, not knowing exactly what's going to happen, and, like, maybe that would end up harming the party, or harming them in some way. Inchoate Mass. Welcome back, Vaughn. Yeah, Black Pudding is there. It's a CR4. It's pretty powerful. The problem with these oozes is that every time I look at it, they always have, like, abilities that I don't want them to have. So, like, I don't want you to have corrosive form, because I don't understand why you would have acidic skin. right? I don't want them to have split, because what happens if they take enough damage to kill them in one round? Do they split into two, and then what happens to you when you turn back? So I think the Gibbering Mouther might be the right choice. I was thinking about the Grey Ooze, because it's really weak. But then what happens when you... yeah, see you later, Vaughn. Thanks for checking in. What happens when you split, right? Like, I think it's got to be a Gibbering Mouther. I think you were right on the money, dude, with your first idea. I actually don't think it's that stupid. Like you said, it's stupid, but I think it could be fun. I wish it didn't have some of its abilities, but I think for the purposes of this, it's just fine. For 1 minute. The Gibbering Mouther is hostile to all creatures and attacks. Gibbering Mouther that is hostile to all other creatures for 1 minute. So that you're not yourself. You go instantly mad, right? Like, Johanna's cube is funny. But would you be a cube of your own flesh? Like, I think it's your body that like falls apart to all other creatures for 1 minute. At the end of your turn, the end of the target's turn, they can, at the end of their turn. Oof, if I was talking about dinner now, I'm hungry. The target can attempt another saving throw to end the effect. Cool, boom. Dr. Hughbert, yeah. I might need to go and do the math, but there he is. He's almost 2 pages, but I think that's fine. Okay, let's see if we can really quick do, like, Flesh Titan or whatever. If we can do Alizabeth. So she's huge now, I think. Makes sense. That's extra fun if you use the Flubber serum on her, because then she becomes gargantuan, which is the largest size in the game. Her strength obviously is humongous or whatever. We'll do all these later. It was 16 before. We gotta make it really big. It's super big, really strong. Immunities, poison and psychic. That all is all fine. Let's copy over this one. Sorry guys, I just want to try to get through Alizabeth at least. There's layer actions, but I feel like we come up with a bunch of them, which is cool. I like that. Let's do... Flesh Titan. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if she should be immune. So yeah, this is the thing with the actual Flesh Golem. So the actual Flesh Golem is immune to damage from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magic weapons that aren't adamantine, which I feel like is kind of dumb. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, it's like a golem ability. So maybe we don't give it to him here. I think they can be resistant to it here, and then maybe at this level, at CR 15, she can be immune to it. But I guess at CR 15, you're hopefully... like, you have magic weapons is my hope. All that's fine. Oh, that's kind of interesting. She can reroll ones by spontaneously growing another limb / body mass. It's kind of cool that, like, if she punches you and she misses, she grows another, like, fucking arm that punches. Yeah. I mean, I think it's cooler to do the natural ones, maybe on like attack rolls specifically, rather than like, because I guess like on ability checks too, right? Like she could grow another eye, or she could grow, yeah. There might be something to that idea, giving her a trait called like amorphous form, that like she's just this constantly mutating creature, right? Yeah, that's good. I like that, dude. And I like that it's almost like a halfling ability. It's like a reskinned version of the halfling Lucky. Oh, I've never seen it, Kira. I know. Everyone tells me I should watch it. But I have not seen it. Understands, but common, but cannot speak. Bellington adaptation. Cannot speak. Oops, shit. Okay. So traits. So I think she keeps the same one she had before. Excuse me. She does not have... last time I did not give her immutable form, which is a traditional golem ability that she can't be polymorphed, because I didn't want it to be the kind of thing where, like, if she got shot, that like she couldn't change her size or anything like that. I think she has to be able to do those things. Metastasize. Yuck. I think I might go with metastasize. That's a good word. Still has aversion to fire. I think she still has codependence. I think she still has lightning absorption. This is maybe broken. Instead, gains a number of hit points equal to twice the lightning damage dealt. She gets a lot more hit points. Advantage, relentless, all that's good. Change that to 30 damage or less. We reduce her to 0 hit points. She was used to 1 hit point instead. You really got to put her down. So metastasize. Yeah, exactly. Metastasize. I might give her immutable form now, but have it like... Because immutable form on the golems just says... The golem is immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. Whenever Alizabeth rolls a natural 1 on an attack roll, she can re-roll. She can sprout. She can sprout a new smaller limb, which immediately allowing her to re-roll. That also attacks. I'm gonna re-roll. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think she still is basically humanoid. I don't think she's like a horrible blob. But I do think that her proportions are really fucked. You know, like, she's got 4 arms, and, like, 2 of them, like, drag on the ground, and, like, she's got, like, a weird third leg, and I think she's got the head and the hairs in there, and, like, there are eyeballs on her shoulders, and, like, weird fucked up shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that she's just, again, like an inchoate mass, but I do think that she's, like, humanoid in, like the barest possible definition. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Because, like, just saying that she can re-roll 1s on attack rolls is mechanically what it is, but you want to kind of, like, convey your idea, Alan, that she, like, grows additional limbs when she attacks. Whenever Alizabeth rolls a natural 1 on an attack roll, she can choose to re-roll by growing another limb. She grows another weaker limb. Huh, what about this? What about, like, really taking this and cranking it up to 10? What if she... I mean, it's kind of like the Hydra, right? So the way the Hydra works is that... I guess I don't quite know how in 5e how it works. But traditionally, right, you know, it cuts its head off, it grows another head. What if every time she either rolls a natural 1 or she misses an attack roll? Which I feel like is going to be pretty common, so maybe that's too much. But it says here, multiple heads. The Hydra has 5 heads. When it has more than 1 head, the Hydra has advantage on saving throws against being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, and knocked unconscious. Whenever the Hydra takes 25 damage or more in a single turn, one of its heads dies. If all the heads die, the Hydra dies. At the end of its turn, it grows 2 heads from each of the heads that died since its last turn, unless it has taken fire damage since its last turn. The Hydra regains 10 hit points from each head regrown this way. So, like, what if there's some way to say that she starts with X number of arms, like 3 arms, and that every time she misses an attack, she grows an additional arm and gets an additional attack? Now, that's pretty broken, right? But would there... Is natural 1... I think you could maybe tie it to natural 1, right? Because, like, that would be pretty uncommon. But if it does happen, then she grows another arm and she gets another attack. And it's this way to, like, recover from that. It's not even just like she gets to re-roll it. I think she grows another arm, it immediately attacks, And then if she gets it again, she gets another arm. So she just continues to compound these limbs. I kind of think that's neat. She immediately grows another arm and can make an additional attack with that arm. Yeah, an additional appendage. You're right. Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't get too out of hand. You're right, David. That's what I was thinking. I'm worried that it will never come up, but I think in that one instance where it does, it's like the coolest fucking moment, right? To make an additional attack with that appendage. Or let's see. When she rolls it, she grows another appendage and can immediately make an additional attack with that appendage against the missed target. Oh no, David! Oh no, I didn't even get it! Ah, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. An additional slam attack. That's gross. This appendage is permanent. It's permanent. And increases Elizabeth's attacks per round by 1. Yeah, metastasize. Okay, I don't know if that's still what we want to call it, but I think it's cool. Okie dokie. That all seems fine. So then her attacks. Cool. I think that's neat. That's a good. That's your idea, dude. That was really cool. So she just has the slams. Oh yeah, she's got multi-attack too. I think do you think she starts with 3 arms? Because I think 3 is like 4. It almost seems like Machamp. Like that seems like the right number of arms. I think that she has. I think 3 feels weird and off balance, right? Like multi-attack. Well, it was still, we all contributed. Elizabeth can make 3 slam attacks. C metastasize above. Did I spell it right? How do you spell that word? Shit. I want something about like how she's a weird, goopy, like she can't be knocked prone, or you know, like something like that. That like because of her weird, like mutating nature, she has some benefit, right? Like. Because like how the Hydra gets the multiple heads thing, like they have advantage on saving throws against being blinded, charmed. I mean, she's already going to have advantage on most saving throws because she has magic resistance. But is there something where like she can't be knocked prone and she can't be grappled and like weird stuff? You know what I mean? Like there's something about that like because her form is so. Yeah, I think something like that's right. Oh yeah, you're right. Yep. Put grappled and prone in there. She just can't be either of those things. Smart, Alan. And then just in her like description, talk about how she's this like horrible mass of legs and eyes. Cool. Yeah, slam. Make at minimum so then slam hits and does what it does. Slam's pretty basic. I like that her attacks are really generic. That's kind of important to me, that they're not, there's nothing else going on with her, that she hits you. Cool. Change the math on this. They're gonna hit really hard. But I think a big part of her too is that like she is only made better and more powerful by Dr. Hughbert. That like she's fine, you know what I mean? But yeah, cool. So then let's settle on some of these lair actions, and then maybe we'll call it for tonight. We can maybe talk about Eric a little bit, but I want to get home and eat. I'm hungry. So let's talk about lair actions. So I liked the idea of them having... So I guess this is the question. So the way lair actions work in 5e is that they affect... Like, it's like on initiative count blank, this happens. On initiative count 0 or 20 or whatever, this happens, right? So I like the idea of them having more lair actions than most bad guys, most of our villains. So look at like Agnamaw, how those are worded. But how much of that do we want to be lair actions, which are like ostensibly things you do that help the bad guy, that help the villain, and how much of them should just be like random like effects in the lair? So like Agnamaw, for example, has on initiative count 20, Agnamaw summons a ghostly choir. 1d6 shadows appear within 30 feet of Agnamaw. The shadows can do nothing but spend their actions to chant. Until initiative count 20. On the next round, any creature that tries to cast a divine spell of 4th level or lower is punished in some way, racked with shame. And then any creature within the lair must make a DC X wisdom saving throw or be charmed until initiative count 20. On their next turn, a charmed creature must spend its movement to move closer to Agnamaw. So do they... Because we have a big list, and a lot of them are great, but are those actual lair actions, or are those just things in the lair that the characters can interact with? Because I like the idea of them being able to, like, turn to the devices and use them, but let's maybe just look at them and see if we can separate them out into what those two different things are. So where do we put the lair actions? Here we go. Restraints seems like a lair action to me. Auto Stitcher feels like equipment. Terrifying Specimen seems like a lair action. Test the Coil seems like a lair action. Test Subject seems like a lair action. Okay, so yeah, we have a couple. I'd like to get 6 if we can. Have them have double the number of lair actions. Plus, then have like 6 or 5 or something like weird devices that they can find and use in the combat. I like the idea of the fight in the laboratory being very big and crazy and chaotic. Okay, so we have restraints. I don't think they tend to have names. So we can give them names. So the question with restraints is, does it require them to be near one? Is there like a hidden panel in the floor that like pops up and grabs them? Do like the arms of one of the restraints like shoot out and grab the character and pull them towards the restraints? I think it kind of has to come out of nowhere because we don't know where the characters are going to be in the lair when it happens. And you also don't want to dictate to the DM what the design of the lair is. Yeah, I think it pops out of the floor. On initiative count 20. How did I word this? Sorry, I'm dumb. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Desdemonia. How did I word them for Agnamaw? Cultists. Here we go. I'm just going to bring this down so I can see it. How's everybody doing? Okay. On initiative count 20, Agnamaw, let's see, what do you call that? A restraining table? Yeah, I'm hungry too, dude. Appears from a trapdoor opens to reveal. Yeah, a trapdoor opens under one creature, revealing a restraining table. So does it attack them? Like, do they, does it make an attack against them? Do they have to make a dexterity save? I think, yeah, the target must make a DC X dexterity save or be restrained by the table. Any creature that begins its turn restrained takes... so I wonder if there's a way to like do kind of a synergy with the lair actions, because I feel like we have to test the coil. Yeah. Okay, yeah, restrain the table until escape. So then I think we do the Tesla coil, or whatever we call it, right? I think the way that the actual lair actions work is that they can choose one of them on initiative count 20. So I think we could do one of two things. We could either say that they can choose two of them on initiative count 20, or we could say they can choose one on initiative count like 20 and 10 and 0, or something like that. So that way the lair actions are kind of like popping off, like they're kind of always going. I think that's kind of cool. I think we should separate it down to 2. So maybe 20 and 10, and then like alternate them. So say like on initiative count 20 this happens, and then on initiative count 10 this happens. So let's do test the coil on 10. Whatever we end up calling it. Because here's what I like. I like the idea that the restraining table would grab you and hold you, right? And then the Tesla coil will go off, and the Tesla coil makes you make a dex save to try to avoid lightning, and being restrained specifically gives you disadvantage on dex saves. So having there be like some kind of synergies in between those, I think, are cool. A bolt of lightning strikes the coil, or lightning arcs through the laboratory. Lightning arcs between the coils, striking anything in its path. Coils striking everything in its path. Every creature in the lair must make a DC X dexterity saving throw, or take XDX lightning damage. There might be something, excuse me, to giving Dr. Hughbert in the first, maybe this version, he has resistance to lightning, and then give him immunity to lightning at higher levels at this version. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know where that would go. Here. But he's got rubber gloves or rubber boots or whatever, right? Lightning, and then he's got lightning resistance here. It's like whatever did that to his hair, right? Slowly gave him lightning resistance. Okay, that's cool. I like those two things working together. So we have terrifying specimens. On initiative count 20. He's been eating lightning and small increments, right? Exactly, to build up an immunity. On initiative count. On initiative count. A teaspoon of lightning. A teaspoon of lightning sounds like the first, like the debut novel of like a YA urban fantasist. A teaspoon of lightning, or teaspoon of lightning, right? Lightning for tea. Initiative count 20. A gross... One of the... Let's see. How do you phrase this? Yeah, I think it's a great band name too, David. They see something spooky. Spooky. Oh no, yeah, let's do this. On initiative count 10, lightning reveals a ghastly specimen. It reveals a ghastly abomination. Ghastly abomination. I think ghastly specimen is fine. Inside a jar. Tablespoons of fire. See? Now you're onto something. Fire with a Y. Magic also has to be spelled with a K for no reason. inside a jar, preserved in a jar. Yeah, they keep getting higher and higher. They gotta be thunder in there too. Court of Thunder. Although Court of Thunder is actually like a pretty standard like D&D adventure name, like CORT, Court of Thunder. So how do you do this? So lightning reveals a ghastly specimen preserved in a jar. Is it all creatures? Is it one creature? Because that's the thing. You can't dictate what the layer looks like, and so it's kind of based on where stuff is. My instinct is one creature that like one person looks at it, that not everybody can see it, right? One creature must succeed, or must make. I always do that. Must make a DC X, I think it's a wisdom save, or become frightened for 1 minute of the jar for 1 minute. They can't move closer to it. At the end of their turn, the target can attempt a saving throw to end the effect. Or another saving throw to end the effect. Or can repeat the save, I think. Can repeat the save to end the effect. Behold! Oh, that's true. Do you think it's better to affect everybody? I'm just worried that, like, if every... I do like the lightning strike. Right. Yeah, lightning reveals it ghastly. I mean, most of these are, like, any creature. So we could do everybody. It doesn't have to just be one. Because the restraints, I think, is one creature. So we can do lightning reveals a ghastly specimen preserved in a jar. Yeah, you could have it, because the thing is we have 6 layer actions, so like it could be kind of a one-time use, like a success on this save means that the person is immune for 24 hours. I think that's fine. So I think it could get everybody, right? Every creature in the lair. Creature in the lair must make a DC. Yeah, that's fine. Of the specimen. A success on this save. A creature that succeeds on this save is immune to the effects, to the sphere effect for 24 hours. That succeeds on this save is immune to this fear effect for 24 hours. That's fine. Cool. And then test subjects. So this would be on initiative count 20. 20. So do we make up monsters for them? I think so. We do like 1d3. Do 1d3 plus 1 or 1d4 plus 1. So there's at least 3, but it could be as many as 5. Gross creatures are freed from their cages. Oh yeah, they were like something prototypes, right? So they're really weak, I think, and like not great fighters, but they kind of come shambling out. And attack the nearest enemies. Attack freed from their cages. Because like, do they attack? I assume they don't attack Dr. Hughbert, right? He's got like them implanted with weird, yeah. And attack the characters. Attack the guests. Yeah. Attack. So it's weird. Like, what is the actual tech? What is the actual writing here? How is it done? Attack of the characters. All right, the players. Okay, so other things. I think items are things like auto stitcher. I want like a lightning fork. I don't know, but the lightning fork wouldn't work because he's immune and she heals from it. So, auto stitcher. What are some other like weird thingamabobs? We also need 2 more layer action ideas. Yeah. And technically, the thing is, yeah, you could say intruders, but like mechanically speaking, right? What does that? Let me see how like the vampire does it. Because you could say they're, like, under their control. I think, again, not that I don't know how to word it, but it's more like, how would the game word that kind of a thing, right? Like, so he has Children of the Night. The vampire magically calls 2d4 swarms of bats or rats, provided the sun isn't up. Acting as allies of the vampire and obeying its spoken commands. Okay. Are freed from their cages. Acting as allies of Dr. Hughbert and obeying his spoken commands. The creatures remain for 1 minute. Or until Dr. Hughbert dies. Or he dismisses them as an action. Dismisses them as a bonus action. That's what I was looking for. Just the specific wording of how you do like that kind of like summoning allies. Okay, so we need 2 more. Oh, here we go. Compelling results. Characters have to save against being won over by a sort of crown of madness thing. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Because it feels monologue-y to me, right? That you might, like, fall for it. And if he's already got that legendary action, you don't want to, like, repeat it. It's interesting. Like, some kind of a charm effect is always good. Mad scientist stuff. So we've got a handful of cool... Yeah, for sure. No, these are all good. Like, put it out there. There's something about, like... We've got Tesla coils. Yep. We've got monsters. We've got, like, sort of monsters in jars, like visual spectacle. We've got grabbing. What's-her-face mentioned acid. So is there something about, like, tipping over an acid vat or, like... Yeah, like, actually, like the Green Dragon's fog cloud. Let me look at the fog cloud. Is there an acid vat or poison gas or something like that? Gross evidence of Hughbert and Elizabeth's continued sexual relationship. Yeah, he pulls back a curtain and reveals the boudoir. Oh, God. Con save. For nausea. Yeah. Yucky. Yucky poo-poo. Legendary actions are here. Oh, where are these lair actions? Green Dragon. Lair actions. I like poison gas. I like acid. Chains we have with the restraints. Lightning we have in spades. Like acid is good. For an item, we could have... I like the idea of a... I mean, it's kind of similar to the restraints, but items... something similar to the Iron Bands of Bolaro, which are like weird magical items that you like throw at people and they get wrapped up in them. But there's like a chance that you could do it to yourself if you don't know how they're done. Oh, there was talk of anti-gravity. Some kind of anti-gravity thing. Anti-gravity, and I think some kind of poison gas. Hail of syringes. Yeah, that's true. I feel like that's more of a legendary action than a lair action. But I mean, I guess that's what the dragon does. He just breathes a bunch of poison gas on you. Just need to be on. I don't know if this one has the lair actions in it. Hail of syringes isn't bad. Sorry, I'm being so picky. How do you do anti-gravity mechanically? That's tough. So lair actions are grasping roots and vines erupt in a 20-foot radius from the point the dragon can see. It's got a wall of tangled brush bristling with thorns springs into existence. Magical fog billows around one creature the dragon can see within 120 feet of it. Oh, it's like a charming fog. The creature must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom save or be charmed. Interesting. It doesn't actually... It's got poison breath. I don't mind, like, poison gas. Clone... Oh! Dude, yeah. You killed it. Clone chamber. I almost even want to do, like, that they appear in 1d8, like, in the world 1d8 weeks later. Because that's so... Yeah, that's almost a regional effect. That's so good. Is it better to do, because I like the implication of that, like, what was I going to say? I like the implication that that would be like a threat for later. You know, it's not like an immediate threat, but it doesn't affect the combat. Money leaks from the PC's pockets to be put towards future projects. Grant proposal. That's pretty funny. I think it's clone chamber. I want to do it like in the combat. 1d4 rounds. I want it like really fast, but that doesn't make any sense. I mean, it could be a clone that like falls apart in 10 minutes, right? That like just turns into slush. So like character takes damage, like poison, like gets attacked. Character gets attacked by a needle. By a needle. 1d4 rounds later. 1d4 plus 2 rounds maybe. Like cloning chamber. Because there's actually a spell. There's a spell called clone. How long does that? What is the casting time on clone? Because that will just then tell us how long it takes to do this. It's a necromancy spell, and it's clone is a fascinating spell. I think you're familiar with it, Alan, because they have it in Ack Inc. I don't know if you watch Ack Inc., David, but they use it famously in that. It's an hour, so yeah, that doesn't really work. I mean, it could be fast, right? The point is that like it creates the clone, and then they just like slump. Yeah, that's cool. It like bleeds hit points. Cloning chamber emits unfinished clone of character. Character loses 20 HP per round or something like that. Or dissolves into goop. Yeah, that's great, dude. Nice work, guys. That's really good. How do we think... Because I can write these up in a little bit. How do we think mechanically that anti-gravity would work here? Because it could be... Because he can fly already. So I think he'd be like turning off the gravity in the room or to you, like as a disorienting effect. I don't think he would be doing it to himself to help himself. It would be like an attack. So he would, yeah, fuck with gravity. The characters move at half speed, presumably, right? Because they're like disoriented. I think that they're definitely distinguishable. Because like one of them's naked, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's really clear that it's a clone, and I think it's just like the grossness of having to fight yourself, right? And like you could even give them like, how does clone work? 120 days. You can also choose to have the clone be a younger version of the same creature. Yeah, they would just use their own stats and stuff, right? Like, yeah, that's interesting. Like, if they see the clone die, they suffer a short-term madness. The character cloned makes a wisdom save or suffers short-term madness. Everyone in the room has levitate, but it can't raise or lower. Something like that, yeah. I think it needs to essentially be disorienting, right? Like it can maybe help you if you're smart, but I think it should like baseline be annoying. So the characters levitate like 10 feet off the ground, move at half speed, maybe disadvantage on all strength checks and saves because you don't have any like footing. Ooh. The lab is on top of a tower. It falls like an elevator accident and then ratchets back up slowly like a piston. So that's where the anti-gravity comes from. That's kind of interesting. I think it would require a very specific... Yeah. You could also be like a tower, sure. It could also be like underground, right? Like poof, and then like comes back up. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think you can put that like in the description of it, that like you could flavor it either way. Like, because I was thinking we could stat up his lair in addition to just like, here's a cathedral, like we would do for Agnes Mall, like say these are some things. So we could make that the official explanation. But if the DM at the time just wants to say he has an anti-gravity thing, he could do that. The question is, does it affect... I don't think it would affect the two of them as long as he's mounted. Because I think that he has the Magno or the Electro boot, so he can like clamp himself onto the thing with Spider Climb, right? I think that the gravity gives them disadvantage. They move at half speed, gives them disadvantage on strength checks and saves. Yeah, hey Vaughn, what's up? We're almost done. We're done in about 10 minutes. Checks and saves, and there's gonna be some other thing. They move at half speed is already pretty shitty. Like attacks against them have advantage or something like that. Like it's almost like being underwater, right? Like, was it like all attacks have disadvantage? Like it's kind of shitty for everybody. Oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. Doing a like, this is getting crazy. I think all attacks have disadvantage is cool. Because that like it's like bad for them too. They're like, oh, they're like trying to swing at each other and they're floating around. So I think anti-gravity is good. Yeah, it could spin. I'm just worried that this really limits like where they could put it. You know, maybe that's one of the items. They like, you can go and you can find a thing that will spin the room. What is that ride called? The one that goes super fast and presses you up against the walls. Gyro activator. Boy, I can't spell, you guys. Something like that. The room spins. Yeah, exactly, Alan. Like, whoa. Pushing everyone up against the walls. Zero G. A device could set the gravity binding point. Centrifuge. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. So the poison gas. There's poison gas. There's also vat of acid. I kind of think a vat of acid is cool. That if it gets like overturned, then it I can decide between poison gas and vat. I think we don't have any acid yet. Let's do vat of acid. Oh, that's cool. It flips between the two. Ooh. Yeah, gyro activator. Gravity flipper. So maybe it's too much for anti-gravity, but is there a way to combine those two things where like it flips the gravity, but there's like one round where you're in between? Yeah, a gravity inverter. Is that too weird? Is it getting very like space? It's cool. It's really cool. But then the question is like, is you just like slam into the ceiling? I think the ceiling could it's just another version of the floor essentially, right? Because I think anti-gravity has like a real mechanical implication. Maybe it's like they flip the gravity. Yeah, let's look at reverse gravity. Good call, David. I think they can like flip the gravity, right? Maybe that's, instead of anti-gravity, it's that. They flip the gravity, but they stay down. Everybody else goes up and is like pressed against the ceiling. And they can try to like make a... Oh, is there not a spell for that? Roll20 didn't turn it up. Reverse... Oh, I was doing reserve gravity. Reverse gravity, 5e. And they're like pressed up against the ceiling. Is that how that works? All creatures and objects that aren't somehow anchored to the ground in the area fall upward and reach the top of the area when you cast the spell. A creature can make a dexterity saving throw to grab onto a fixed object it can reach, thus avoiding the fall. If some solid object is encountered in this fall, falling objects and creatures strike it just as they would during a normal downward fall. I think it's like reverse gravity, but I think when they hit the ceiling, they're like held there. They're like restrained or pushed against the ceiling. And then while that's happening, Dr. Hughbert and Alizabeth can go around and do whatever they want, right? They can heal, or they can do this, or they can do that. They can flee, right? As per reverse gravity, all creatures fall upward and hit the ceiling. All creatures fall upward and hit the ceiling, take damage, are restrained because they're like pressed against it. They like crank the gravity up. Are restrained, except Hughbert and Alizabeth. Okay. And then I think poison is going to be acid. I think like a vat of acid tips over. Out of acid, upends, spilling across the room. It spreads, spreading out, yeah, dealing damage, and eating away items and objects. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Increase the local gravity. I don't want to get too crazy with the gravity stuff because I feel like it's cool, but I feel like it's a little outside of his wheelhouse. But that might be a trick, like an item you could pick up. You could do it once, right? You could hold him and then it zaps in your hand. Crushing weight. So like gravity, graviton, crusher, or something like that. What I've been doing I'll probably come up with this for those two. He can magnetize things, but I think that's one of his powers. He's already got telekinesis. A big magnet is definitely an item you can pick up. Crushes you to the ground. Crushes a target to the ground. Big magnet. Or some other crazy stuff, like a freeze ray. Why did that get weird? Big magnet. Pull metal objects to you. Freeze ray. What are some other supervillain type stuff? Coat someone or something in ice. I mean, I think let's give him a lightning rod and see if they're dumb. Like a lightning fork. Shoots lightning. Because it could kill one of the, like, test subjects. I want there to be like 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 3 more like weird gadgets you can pick up to let you do stuff. Yeah, that's pretty good, dude. You can magnetize everyone in metal armor. The restraints of the Tesla coil. He's already got 6 of them. I don't want to give him any more than that. Yeah, I can't decide about anti-gravity. I think it's cool, but maybe magnetism is better. You know? He can polymorph. Yep, we have evil duplicates. Yep, clones are here. He can polymorph with one of his syringes. He's got a transformative age, and it turns you into a gibbering mouther. Oh, shit! Oh, there's too many of these. What about, like, a body switcher? Right? Where he, like, forces two players to switch character sheets? Yeah. Slippery floor, like grease. How do you feel about a body switcher? I think Body Switcher is real good, but I don't know where it goes. I mean, Vadavast is kind of boring, but I'm worried all of these are like way too high concept. I'm thinking about losing Anti-Gravity. Freaky Fry Ray! God damn it, Vaughn. Get out of here. Freaky Fry Ray. I think if everyone is down for it, I think I might lose Anti-Gravity, because I think we got to pick one of these. I like Clone, I like Acid, because it's simple. Acid and Tesla I like because they're just damage, and that's really simple. I like the Restraints because it's individualized. Clone is individualized. Terrifying Specimens is everyone. Test Subjects introduces more monsters. I think Body Swap is good. Body Swap. Freaky Fry Ray. 2 players must switch characters. Character switch bodies. Is it just for 1 round? Yeah, I agree. For 1 round. There's the magnetization thing too, but I think that's fine. I think that's a lot of ideas. That's already 6 layer actions, which is 3 more layer actions than you're supposed to have. Yeah, I agree. Body Swap totally could have figured into his experiments. Okay, cool. Well, folks, I think we're going to call it there. Although I want to maybe think of a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we could think of 2 more. Yeah, good night. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Slash have disadvantage. Can we real quick think of 2 more little gadgets that the characters could pick up and play with? I'm thinking like a jetpack or rocket boots or something like that. Something that lets them fly for a round. Jetpack. Lets you fly, but then obviously explodes. I'm also thinking like maybe like it's kind of like Gravity, but sort of a really rudimentary time machine that lets you like go back and take a turn again or do something like that if you can figure out how it works. What about that? What about like a time turner? It's like his incomplete time machine. Spider abdomen's kind of funny. Incomplete time machine. Spider or web shooters. Blast enemies with ray blast folks with webs. Yeah. Lets you replay a turn or something. Haste effect from electricity, yeah, that could work too. Haste effect, overclocking. Okay, I think that's plenty. I might put mech suit as well. Climb in, deal damage, get trapped maybe. Electrocuted. So I don't think we do all of them, but I think we pick the best of those. Okay. Yeah, guys, I think that's good. So that's Dr. Hughbert, I feel like. We've got all of his junk. I got a lot of copy paste, or I got a lot of like holes to patch, but I think that essentially this is right. Oh, whoops. Yeah, this is all messed up, but I'll have to get in there and figure it out. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Great, so here's what I'm going to do. Dr. Hughbert presents War and Peace, Masterpiece Theater. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna take all of this. I'm gonna try to synthesize it. I'm still working on Agdama. My goal this week is to try to get Agdama finished and in a place where I can show it to people and we can do some like a round of notes and stuff. But as I mentioned on Dungeon Crawl, I'm going to be taking a week off from social media, so we will not be back next week. But then in 2 weeks' time, on April 28th, oops, what have I done? On April 28th, I'll be back. We'll do another stream that Sunday. That'll be the launch of the next Yogg arc. We'll be back with Dungeon Crawl and everything. I'm just going to take a little time to kind of rest and recuperate, a little bit of mental health time, and then I'll be back refreshed and renewed and ready to finish this up. Because we have Eric left, and then we have 3 new characters for the Watchtower, and then we have one new character that gets introduced in the one after that, the Instrument. So we'll see. We might take a break. After we do Eric, we might take a break from monster design and do a little bit of world building, because I have another campaign that I would like to get started next year. But I will need some world building beforehand, so we'll have to figure that out. But yes, I will see everybody not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. But I'll be back on Twitter next Monday, so you can talk to me then if you have any more thoughts or concerns or ideas. Thanks so much for coming and chatting, David and Vaughn and Alan and Brooke and everybody who came out. It was awesome to have so many people, especially when I was worried early on there would be no one because I effed up the tweet. But I think we did some really great work on Dr. Hughbert today, and I will see everybody in a couple of weeks. Until then, happy adventuring.